Richard. Here you go. Rob, which or is it? I was going to say, Rob expressed some concern coming out of the photo op room. He said, there was a moment in that room, and I'm not making this up, Rob goes, I wasn't sure that was actually Misha.
You have the haircut, something's different. You have the
haircut.
And I said, and in my mind I was like, what if it's not Misha? It's some kind of humanoid who's taken over Misha.
Yeah.
And he said the only way to find out is if we hold you underwater, and if you die, it's over here.
It worked in Salem.
Can I ask you a question though? How do you know that the real Misha Collins is the one that would drown?
That's true, we should kill you both.
And then I said, we could cut you open. And then we realized in both these scenarios, real Misha Collins.
Unfortunately,
The only way to find out if it's really me is to kill me.
But then, we'll all sleep better knowing it was really you. Again, I gotta point to the witch trials. They were pretty seamless in this whole operation.
We got a good rep.
All right, Misha Collins, do your thing.
Love you, buddy.
It's Misha Collins, everybody.
Wow, this has been comforting. Thank you guys. I'll watch my back. That's funny because my daughter has been having some anxiety, like she's afraid of monsters under the bed and that sort of thing, and also, legitimately, whether I've turned into a monster. So when I'm putting her to bed, sometimes she's like, hey Dad? Dad? Like if I don't respond in exactly the right way, she's like, I knew it, he's possessed! Which Rob is also starting to fear, which makes me wonder about how I present. It's good to get feedback. Hi everyone. It's so nice to be back in San Francisco. And just as I was driving up, I had this sort of like warm, like fond memory came to mind. Because I do a meet and greet. I think you've probably heard about how this operation is run. But if you want to like go spend an hour with 10 other people and one of the actors, and you're extremely wealthy, you can. And I often take my meet and greet on a little walk somewhere. We went on a walk. There's a little beach right out here, and I had a hard time finding a place to sit because of all the syringes. So I'm looking forward to taking you rich people out there later. It's funny, syringes are considered so bad that they're like, you know, they're medical. Right? And those were sterilized, I think, by the salt water. We were just staying at my nephew's house here with the kids in Santa Cruz. And yes, you know where it is. And I had actually just been there a month ago, and he's really, he's into pyrotechnics. He's a pyromaniac, this kid. He's 10. And when I was there, we lit off some fireworks. He made some homemade smoke bombs. The neighbor's house is right there. They have the baby's room with a big open window. Smoke bomb. I don't know how they created this convection arc, but it just went, the smoke just went straight into the baby's room. It was great. But when we were done with the fireworks, I had my kids, and he was like, "Do you guys have any fireworks?" The 4th of July was coming up at that point, and I said, "No." And he said, "Well, you know, take some M80s and stuff." And I was like, "Great." The kids were like, "No, no." I was like, "Yeah, you know, some M80s." And just driving just now from Santa Cruz, I was like, my bag is so heavy and it's a mess. So I was in the car organizing. I wasn't driving, organizing my bag, and I found. I found these M80s. Oh my God. I think this is my carry-on bag on my flights. I think I've been on 7 flights. Oh. M80s in my bag. So those of you who are TSA officers, step up your game a little bit. There's a lot of people like me flying around checking the box. I do not have explosives, but they're lying. I did these, I wrote and directed and acted in some little shorts, comic shorts, which you can find on the internet if you're familiar with it. And they're called TSA America Level Orange. And there's one little chapter or episode where I get a private pat down, or I give a private pat down to a slightly homophobic passenger who's like, I'm not gonna let some dude stick his hands down my pants or whatever, and then I take him in to his, private pat down, private screening room and seduce him. But the language that is used, like I'm gonna use the back of my hands, I'm gonna put my fingers in your belt, was all very specific, and I tried to glean it when writing this from like actual language that TSA officers use, but I kind of pushed the envelope a little bit. And I was going through a TSA checkpoint last year, and the alarm went off, and it's because I have artificial hips. It always goes off. It goes off every time I'm like, I have artificial hips. He's like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to give you an enhanced screening. And he went through all of the things that I had done. And in this like seduction video, I'm like, going up the thighs, but like going a little too high up the thighs. And as I'm like running my fingers under the belt, I'm going a little too deep and a little too slow. And describing what I'm doing as if it's some sort of like erotic foreplay. And this guy is doing the exact same thing. And his TSA buddies are watching like a bunch of perverts. And I'm thinking, I cannot believe, like, this is life imitating art. I cannot believe how on point we were with, like, these people are kind of twisted. And at the end, in the little video that we did, I yell, all clear, and then the lights come on and the spell is broken. And I yell, all clear, in this really loud voice. And he finishes. And then he stands up and he yells, all clear! And I was like, you fucker! Not until he yelled all clear did I realize that he was totally verbatim copying everything from my video. And he was like, gotcha. Okay, that was a weird sidebar. Hi.
Hi. So very recently you've been active on Threads.
If by active you mean 2 posts, yes.
Pretty active. Compared to some of your other castmates.
Yeah, it was a bunch of losers. They don't cover themselves in yarn and pick up their shirt. Bunch of losers. Yes.
So I was just wondering what you thought of the platform and kind of what you want to do with it, or anything fun that we could do as a fandom.
Well, I don't know, but I'm interested in figuring that out. Threads, for those of you who don't know, is Mark Zuckerberg's attempt to, I guess, finally create a full monopoly. He wants to take on Twitter. Actually, have you heard about Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg? UFC match against each other? Have you heard about this? Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk are talking about setting up basically a cage match where they're going to fight each other. And I've always kind of not liked those guys for various reasons. But hearing that they want to do a cage match makes me hate them. Like, what is wrong with these people? I hate what Elon Musk has done with Twitter. I actually hate it. And there's something there's like almost difficult to quantify. I'm sure it is quantifiable, and people have quantified it. But from my like anecdotal perspective, Twitter, the tone and tenor of discourse on Twitter changed when he took over, and it became a lot more toxic. I could just look at like the comments after I make any post, and it's just filled with this vitriol and nastiness that was not nearly as pervasive before. And the fact that like racial slurs saw a 500% increase like day one when he took over. The fact that he reinstated people who had been taken off the platform for obvious and egregious hate speech. That makes me not think Twitter is the best place to be. It is somewhat you know this term schadenfreude? It's taking pleasure in other people's pain, which is something I'm really good at. And watching like Twitter share price tank and revenue drop and advertisers flee has been somewhat gratifying. But there are all these other platforms that have been like proffered as alternatives to Twitter right from the beginning of Elon's takeover. But it seemed like none of them were actually going to have enough traction for anybody to show up there. And a social media platform with no one on it is maybe less effective. So it seems like when Zuckerberg steps into the mix and like basically helps you parlay all of your followers from Facebook and Instagram and all of that, it makes it a little bit more viable seeming. But it might be fun to figure out what to do over there, because it's interesting how social media platforms all have a slightly different vibe. I had a 12-year-old explain this to me. But like you text your friends really personal things. You Snapchat your friends slightly personal, but also kind of trivial things. Like it doesn't have to have any substance to it. You Instagram your friends, you Instagram things that's a little bit more curated. There's like these tier statuses on these things. And on TikTok, you gyrate. But it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out and what happens on Threads and what the vibe there ends up being. I think it's just wrapping yourself in yarn. But I remember I got on Twitter. I was like the first cast member of Supernatural on social media. Jared and Jensen, it took them like several years to finally acquiesce to joining. I remember having conversations with them in a makeup trailer, and they're like, what is this? What are you doing? Social media, dork. And then eventually they're like, so how do you do it? But I remember when I first got on, it was because it was too complicated for me to figure out how. The CW publicist had said, hey, would you come on our Twitter and do a takeover for a day? And I didn't understand what she was talking about. I didn't understand what Twitter was. And I looked at Twitter, but in order to peruse, I had to create a login. So I created a login, and then I was like, you know what? It's probably easier for me to just do it here where I'm already logged in. And that's the only reason I started Twittering. It was a fun and strange experiment at first. And then it became a haven for Nazis. So I guess I will talk for a long time if nobody interrupts me.
Thank you. Hi. To interrupt you. I just got finished watching a compilation of bloopers and gags that you guys do. And I wanted to ask you if you had a favorite blooper, gag, or prank that happened to you or you did.
My castmate made me gag a lot. We had this we were always a little tense. I was always a little tense on set, because you never know when a prank is going to happen, right? And we, over the years, we developed sort of almost a truce, I would say, where we kind of came to agreement that we should stop pranking each other because every time a prank happened, there'd be an escalation, and then there'd be an escalation to the escalation, and eventually someone was going to die or get maimed. And some of the stuff, like, we would, toward the end of the peak pranking, we had, we had like crew members who were trying to intervene, like on the set of, don't tell anybody that I told you this, Misha, but just be really careful about where you put your apartment keys. Because they're planning something. Or, Misha, check under the, no shit. We went, this would have been just so disgusting. We were going on Christmas break, so we were gonna be gone for almost 3 weeks. And I was gonna park my car at my apartment in Vancouver. And the second AD was like, just as I was leaving, like, gonna head off to the airport, just as I was leaving, he said, we should check under the driver's seat. And I did. And it was filled, under the seat was a fish. Like, what do you do with the car, like after 3 weeks of having your car filled with rotting fish? You have to burn it, right? Because there's no coming back from that. Thank God he told me. So yeah, we had a lot of we had some escalating situations. I liked the pranks that I pulled on them better than the ones that they pulled on me if I reflect on it. They were not good people. So I remember when I was directing, for some reason that was like for both Jared and Jensen, it was there like, oh, he's directing? Great, we'll ruin the entire week for him then. And they got out a notebook and they were planning things and brainstorming and inviting the rest of the crew in to pitch ideas. And it was like, it was going to be absolutely hellish. But then Jared got the flu. Thank God. Because he just didn't have the energy to do a lot of the things. We had the director's chair, the little folding chair with a fabric, and I would be looking at the monitors and then go talk to the actors and then come back and plop into my chair. And every time I did that, the fabric had been laid over the wood, but not actually looped over it, so then I would fall to the floor. And Jared probably got me like 5 times. And my tailbone was bruised. And for some reason, like, I just didn't, like, you're just getting into a rhythm and you don't check the damn chair. It looks fine. So that was partly on me after the first time. And there were a lot of other things that happened that particular week, but the big one was Jared was like screwing up all of his lines while we were working on the scene. And Jared never messes up his lines. And I was in the other room watching on the monitors, but I could talk to them over the wall, and I was like, okay, just keep rolling, go again. And finally, I was like, okay, cut. And I walked in, and I was like, Jared, what's going on? Are you okay? And he's like, yeah. We tried one more time. I went back out. He messed up his line again, and I was like, oh my God, I really gotta go talk to him. So I step onto the stage like this, and a pie hits me in the face. And Jared had been messing up his lines because he was stalling to try to get someone from catering to bring in the whipped cream and the pie. It was taking him a long time, and they needed to have all of the cameras actually like ready to swivel and point at the door. They had everybody, the whole crew was in on it. And Jared, by the time he finally got the pie, was so excited that he couldn't contain his physical energy, and so he did it like he was trying to throw a shot put or a discus. Boom! And the force of it, like, the whipped cream actually went around to the backside of my brain. My vision was blurry, and it was like awful, and it was everywhere, like it splattered all over my clothes. And I'm trying to make the day, I'm directing, I'm actually trying to get the show done. And I was just like, and the cameras were all pointed at me so that they could capture this great blooper footage. And I was like, I hate you all. And then Jensen was like the one nice person in the group, and he's like, Misha, I'm sorry, I know what it's like to direct. Nobody understands. Here's a t-shirt. He ran and grabbed the t-shirt out of his trailer, gave me his t-shirt. I changed. We finished this, that side of the scene, and then it was lunchtime, and we went outside, and I was just like, ugh. And I don't know if you know this, but if you get whipped cream in your eyes, your vision is blurry for a little while. It's still like a little blurry vision. We're walking toward the catering tent, and Jensen is behind me, and he said, hey, Misha. And I said, yeah? And I turn around. Also captured on camera. And I was like, ha ha, it's your shirt, joke's on you.
In Supernatural, who's your favorite character besides you and why?
You mean me, the Misha character? I did love the Misha character, but I think my second favorite character is the Castiel character. And I just like the way those guys look. I also liked my third favorite character was probably Chuck or God. I really liked that guy. It was pretty cool. I liked how sort of anxious he was, and what? Cassifer. I also like Cassifer. And Crazy Cass, and Nazi Cass, and Emmanuel.
Steve.
And Steve, right. Good old Steve. I wonder where he is now. Is he still working minimum wage? Stoner Cass, Cuban Cass. Clarence. Agent Beyonce. Good work, everybody. Thank you. Hi.
What's your favorite Castiel quote?
My favorite Castiel quote? I kind of like, I'll just wait here then. That was good.
Running out of minutes.
I'm running out of minutes. The boy says I'm running out of minutes. Oh, interrogate that. You guys are much better at this. The whore? I don't remember that line. Okay, settle down, everybody. Quiet time now. Hi.
My question is, what influence does Castiel have on Sam?
What influence? I think if you look closely, Cass's influence is all over Sam. What do you think his influence is?
I don't know, that's what I was asking.
I see. Over the years, I feel like obviously the Dean and Cass relationship was much more deeply explored, and there was just much more of a connection there from the beginning. But I think that there was something in having Cass as a part of the team for Sam. This is speculation, wild speculation. You might have to ask Jared about you know, Cass's influence and how he took it. But I do think that there was influence, like, that you could see the influence all over him. In some way, like, there were times, I think, when there was enough, like, you could sort of tell that Cass's influence was almost making Sam's vision blurry. You know? I think that folding someone else into the like inner sanctum and into the family as Cass got folded in made Sam feel like the team, or Team Free Will was bigger than just him and his brother, and that there was a wider circle of beings who could be entrusted and counted on in the world, which I think is an important thing for a person to know as they face the uncertainties of a human-filled universe. So maybe that was part of it for him. Yeah. Hi.
If you could pick any car from any of your projects, which one would it be and why? It doesn't matter if someone else has taken it already.
Any part?
No, any car.
Oh, any car? I have to say, I have like a model. Some amazing fan gave me. You know how you see people have the Impala, but it's like a perfect little replica. Somebody gave me the Pimpmobile. I don't know where it came from or how they got it, but it's perfect. And it's sitting prominently on the shelf in my office. And I want that car.
On your Twitter threads.
Great, okay. If you could find me that car, I would really, like, honestly be so grateful if you got it. Thank you, by the way, for offering. That is so sweet. That car was so, like, it was a bona fide Pimpmobile. What a funny thing that was. Because for a while they were sort of shopping around for Cass's car. And I always thought that they should put me in a smart car. Like something tiny, and then have Sam have to ride shotgun. I pitched it, and for some reason they never went for it. But the Pimpmobile was like, it was as advertised. Like, it was for sure something that had been owned and operated by pimps in the past. And it had those hydraulics, so the car would like do the bouncing and the jumping, but there was a big like piece of tape over the controls for the hydraulics that says "Do not touch" in the car, because it's fragile and it's expensive, and that's not, it's not for messing around with. And also, they were renting the car. And the way it works in television and movies is for picture cars, which are the vehicles that are actually shown on screen, they pay a premium, and the guy that owned this car got to come to set every day that we were filming with the car as the chaperone of the vehicle, and they also paid him as well for vehicle chaperone. So he was not only renting the vehicle to production, but he was also hired to babysit the car. And that probably makes sense if you're doing like an episode or a couple of scenes. But like, we got to know the guy, he was there for years. They must have spent like $150,000 or $200,000 on this, $10,000 car. And I know that they spent quite a bit because we were, Jared and I were sitting in the car waiting for, the next scene, and he, moved do not touch tape and started making the car jump. And it was jumping quite a lot. and then it broke. And production had to pay to redo all of the hydraulics because Jared had broken it. And it was more than the cost of the car. And did that come out of your paycheck?
No.
That's correct. Hi.
I know that you participate in political events in this world, so what character in Supernatural would you vote for and work their campaign?
That's a great question. I do think, who would be a good politician? Crowley would be very, very akin to modern American politicians, but maybe not who we're looking for. I could imagine Charlie being a good politician. I also think Castiel would do his best to do the right thing. I don't think he would be great at building coalitions or at being subtle in political gamesmanship. So I don't know that he would be a terribly effective leader. I don't know who else we should put in a seat of power. Hearing all of these suggestions makes me think none of these people are suited. Jody Mills. Jody Charlie. That's the winning ticket for you. Thank you. Hi, good. How are you?
Good. I know you used to do videos with your kids to like cooking. And I'm wondering if you guys are still doing that, and if you got any offer from Food Network to do that.
You know, it's funny. I did have some offers from food shows and Food Network type people early on with that, and I decided while I want to, like, I definitely want to find a way to, from a monetary standpoint, to exploit my kids. But I don't want to feel like I'm getting exploited in the process. And some of the offers that came felt like it was a little bit like muddy with that. Like if it just exploited my kids, it'd be one thing. But they wanted to take advantage of me too. And I wasn't cool with that. The sad truth is that my kids started to develop a consciousness of view counts. And I was like, oh my God, no. Like, they don't even have social media accounts. They're 10 and 12 now. But I'm trying to insulate them from what is inevitably going to take over their future because it's addictive and insidious. So I'm not putting them on social media much anymore, but I had a couple of days alone with Wes recently. And we were sort of twiddling our thumbs, like, what should we do? And he was showing me some funny YouTube videos that he liked. And I was like, well, we should make a funny YouTube video. Not to post or anything, just to make one. And he was like, okay. And we made an episode of Cooking Fast and Fresh with Wes. And he's like this little, like, beefy 12-year-old now. Like, he goes to the gym and works out and he does, like, he's like a little, like, you know, preteen boy. He's into chess and Minecraft, and we did this video together. It was so cute because he was just laughing the whole time. He was just like, giggling and laughing and giggling and making a mess like he used to, and it was pretty cute. But it's for our eyes only, I'm sorry to say, unless you are willing to pay. Because he is for sale, for sure.
Cash or debit?
Hi.
Yeah. So unfortunately last year we lost both Gish and Queen Elizabeth. But I was wondering if it's ended, would there have been a challenge item with the new King Charles in it?
No. No, if Gish is revived, we'll also revive the Queen.
No Gish, and then Gish finished, and all of a sudden the Queen just magically died. It's like,
Are you blaming me? Oh yeah, some coincidence, Steve.
That's the only thing keeping it going. So.
Gish, I loved putting on Gish, and I loved seeing the creative energy that went into that and the incredible community that was built around it. And yet it was a tremendous amount of work and expenditure for me, honestly. And I just didn't have space in my life to do it anymore. But that was true for a few years. But I kept it going a little bit, just in part, because I knew it was really the only thing keeping the Queen alive. And finally, I just had to, let her go.
Got to I think we're doing your passing thought, and I think we got to like this time. I thought that I couldn't get to ask it. I don't make it this far, so it's like, well, ask this question just in case.
Well, I'm glad that you broached the subject that I think everyone is going to afraid to address. Thanks. Hi.
Hi. Sorry. I'm Rachel. And I don't really have a question because I already asked 2 questions from the beginning of the weekend.
Okay.
But
Perfect.
That
saves time.
I actually thought that I would be able to speak with you. So yeah, I don't know. I just want to say maybe that I found you awesome, and just like the whole crew and the series. Because honestly, I wouldn't have made such a huge treat for a convention for any other show. And I also find that everyone here is so nice, because I'm having trouble sometimes understanding things, and everyone just explains to me everything, and they're just so nice. And so I don't have the translation for the word, but it's bienveillant, I don't know. And it's awesome. And I know that you're someone that's into a lot of things, like you help out with a lot of things, and I just want to do awesome, and you're awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad you made it to the microphone. Someone will explain to you. Thank you. Hi.
This is my dad and my wild daughter.
Hi.
So for the person that's always guarded by demons and stopped by angels, could you give me a little advice, knowing what you know now, if you had an ancient chance you could take yourself back to a show where you can reach back, what time of advice would you give yourself? Would it be back then, or would you give your advice now?
You're going to have to ask that question again.
I know. If someone that's guarded by demons and stopped by angels and being an angel yourself, what would you give yourself advice for either the past or present being as Misha instead of Castiel?
Advice I'm offering to myself?
Yes.
And who's it coming from? From you? You're giving me advice? Are you giving me advice? What advice do you want to give me?
An angel would be probably prime as God in Chuck.
Oh, you think I should take over the God post?
Yes.
Great. I didn't know I was getting free advice. That's fantastic. I appreciate the advice. Well, how old is your child?
She is about to turn 3.
She's
20th.
3?
She is a pandemic baby, yeah.
Oh, really? What happened to make that baby?
You want to know? You get close. That's how.
Oh, thank you. It's my hotel key. Oh. Look, you're still walking funny. I don't know why they're going through this whole charade. We have adjoining rooms.
He doesn't want to sit.
I can still smell you both.
Both very influential.
I'm sorry, that was really rude of them.
You know, being single for 30 years, it's kind of hard.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye. Hi.
You started the organization Random Acts, and I was just wondering, what's the greatest random act of kindness that you've witnessed?
Well, I don't know, I could answer that in a bunch of different ways. One is like personally impactful for me. I think I still reflect, you know, as an adult now on small things that people did for my family when I was a kid. My friend John in first grade, his mother saw that my mother didn't have any money and gave her $100 so that she could buy me and my brother Christmas presents one year. And we weren't, like the families, she wasn't friends with my mom or anything like that. She just saw that I was a poor kid who was friends with her son, and that little gesture was really meaningful, and it stuck with me. And I think it probably planted a seed that, in part, inspired me to, you know, start Random Acts years later. I got a card from my mother's friend when I was 5 for my 5th birthday. He was a trash picker, so one of those guys that like stabs the trash with a little pole on the side of the road, and he drew this little watercolor drawing of himself in a raincoat, picking trash, and it just said, "I didn't mind working in the rain today because it's Misha's birthday." And I was 5 when he gave that to me, and I kept it until in high school my house burned down, and it was flammable. But it was like a thoughtful little thing that made me feel noticed and meant something. So those, like, it's interesting to see how little it could take to have an impact on someone. And I think also in aggregate, the woman who was at the microphone here before, I'm sorry, I don't remember your name, you said it. She was French? Rachel. Rachel? Raquel. Hasha. You made me look like a fool. I also like, by the way, random acts of cruelty. It's good to keep a balance in the world. I have noticed so she mentioned that people here were like kind and welcoming in so many words. And I think that this particular community has adopted an ethos of being attentive and kind and generous toward one another. I definitely see that in this fandom, and I think it's a little microcosm, but it is nice to see, and it is also, I think, a reminder that like different cultural paradigms are possible. Like, we don't have that in the wider, broader society. People are, generally speaking, not that great to strangers, but people take care of one another in this community, which I think is a little bit inspiring, and also at least tells part of the story that it's possible to have a community that functions in a kinder way. So
the aggregate of these smaller gestures of kindness here, I think is a big inspiration for you. There you go. Thank you.
Hi, Misha. My name is Ariel. I'm from Michigan.
Hi.
And thanks. This is my first at the National Convention.
Welcome. You're a little late to the party. The show ended a few years ago, but we're glad to have you.
Thank you. It's good to be here, Misha. I'm just glad to be here. I love Gish as a whole for what it does for the world, but I wanted to thank you for how it makes me feel as an individual. Ever since I was little, I always wanted to be like an artist for Disney or something. I chose a completely different career path for financial things, but the Bridgewater graphic novel cover that I drew made it in a book. And
that's awesome.
I saw it as a child. So I suddenly felt like I was 9 years old again, just trying to live my cartoon life. So thank you for giving me that it really just filled my soul. And I've been riding that high for a long time. So thank you for that.
Well, that's nice to hear.
I'm glad that breathed some life in you. I mean, it killed the queen, but again, there's a balance in the universe. So.
I do have a question. So we're not gishing this summer, but are you creating ideas for items for whenever we do gish? Oh no, he smiled.
I can't resist. Every once in a while, I'm like, damn, that's a good gish item. I have to write that down. And then someone will remind me that gish isn't happening. I'm like, well, we'll see. I don't know. But yes, I'm still maintaining a list. I just wrote something down the other day. And I also have other projects that I am percolating on that I might try to exploit the gish community to try to help me manifest. So, yeah. Hi,
Misha Collins.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
How are you?
I'm great, thanks.
My name is Matt Ruffin.
Hi, Matt.
Hi. It's my first time here too, so
welcome.
Thank you. And thank Catherine who set it up. Anyway, yeah, I'm a little bit, okay, pull myself together and ask you a question. So I just started watching Gotham Knights. Yeah, I heard that news, but I'm appreciating it. And I had a question because you're playing Harvey Dent, Two-Face, and your history of characters. Why can't you pick a lane?
Really good question. I'm all over the map. It was a lot of fun playing Harvey Dent because he does unravel and he's embodying two different personalities at once, and letting those cracks start to show, and then finally having the switch flip was really a fun, cool experiment to do for me, just like creatively as an actor. I went into the enterprise of shooting. I had told my agent and my manager, I was like, I don't think I want to do another series for a while. I want to take a break. And then the Gotham Knights came along, and I met with the producers and Natalie, the showrunners, and Natalie, and what they pitched, and about the first season and where the character was going. I was like, oh my god, this sounds so cool, and it's like an iconic Batman character. And god damn it. Yes, okay, I want to do this. And it was a great experiment for me because I actually loved it, and I found it so creatively gratifying and interesting and challenging. There's an episode, I think it's like episode 11 or something, where I'm basically like playing the two characters opposite one another in a scene, and it's not a scene, it's like the whole episode, and it nearly killed me. My circuits were frying the whole time, but it was really freaking cool to do. And the takeaway for me was like, oh yeah, I think I really do like this. I think I do want to do more of this and keep challenging myself, which was good for me to learn. I loved Supernatural and I loved playing Cass, but it started to get a little bit, it started to feel a little paint by numbers at the end for me. Like the last few years, it was like, I feel like we've done this episode before. You know, I mean, I loved it, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. But there was a point at which I just didn't feel like as I felt like it was so, like when I put on my trench coat, I was Cass, and I really didn't have to think about it much anymore. And it was cool to do something that really made me sweat.
I want to say your makeup and match is amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
My question is, who's your favorite superhero?
Who's my favorite superhero? Probably the greatest American hero. When I was a kid, and that came on TV, I was like, we won the lottery, it's on, everybody, it's the greatest American hero!
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. My name's Amber.
Hi, Amber.
So I got my twin sister into watching the show, and I like to say I drug dealered her into it. Because I kept trying to get her to watch the show, but she wouldn't, so I was like, okay, well, here's a taste, here's an episode with a drug teddy bear. Here's an episode called The French Mistake, and then watching Jensen's his Eye of the Tiger video. So I was wondering.
Did you say you felt like a drug dealer?
Yeah.
Because that's what I thought you said. But it took me a little while to piece it together. Like you were like the person who's like at the playground. Here, your first spliff is free.
First taste is free. Here's just a drunk teddy bear, just like.
This first syringe full is free. And then eventually, when did you start charging your sister?
It was in quarantine, actually. I was like, I didn't have her trapped. So I was wondering.
If you want to watch Supernatural, you have to do the dishes.
Yeah. So I was wondering, how would you like introduce someone to Supernatural, or like what kind of episodes do you think are like a must watch in order to get someone like interested in the show?
I think, well, it's tricky because The French Mistake is like such a great episode, right? But you actually, it's much better if you know the show well, right? Yeah. Scooby Natural was pretty great. That's a good one. My kids are funny because I'm going to change the subject, but make it seem like I'm not. My kids will never say anything overtly nice to me because they know better than to do that. I've trained them. But they were like, we watched an episode of Gotham Knights, and they were like, yeah, it's all right. And then we watched another episode, and they're like, I don't know, I guess it's okay, whatever. Yeah. And then by the time we got to like episode 6 or 7, they were like, hey, can we watch another episode of Gotham Knights tonight? Aww. And then I'd be like, well, no, because your grandparents are visiting and they're not caught up, and so we can't. And they're like, it's okay, we'll watch the earlier episodes again with them. And so that ended up happening a few times, and they were watching episodes like 3 and 4 times.
Oh, wow.
And then I was like, you guys really like this show, huh? And they're like, no, I don't know why you'd say that. Can we watch an episode though? You should do the dishes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a shame they don't run the CW.
Yeah, they would do a better job. Yes. If you can go over to tomorrow, there'll be an article in Den of Geek saying Misha said his children would run the network better than the fat cat at the top.
They would!
Yeah. Well, whatever. What can they do to you now? Nothing, that's what I say. Ladies and gentlemen, how was it? That's not usually the reaction we get. We usually get a lot of shrugs and people going, it was alright. We expected a lot and it didn't deliver. We hear that a lot. He didn't deliver. But it sounds like you really put some effort into it today. That's good. Maybe it was our threats of death before the, we're going to cut you open and watch you bleed out.
Make sure it's you.
In fairness, that was plan
Just
B.
because of that haircut.
That was plan B. Yeah, you're going to go back to your barber and you go, I want to switch things up. that last haircut triggered some strange reactions from my coworkers. I want to maybe go off the ear or something that might, bring calm to Rob's universe, not be so disruptive. What is it about it, Rob, that looks fake?
I take it back. He looks great.
No, but what
No.
is it though?
I was told that I was balding.
Oh, no.
I was told that.
Yeah. I just noticed it from behind you. Go ahead.
I bet you notice him behind you. Thank you. It's such a normal haircut to me.
Isn't that, maybe it's blonder? I don't know. Have you been outside a
Your
lot?
eyebrows are lighter.
Have you been outside a lot?
I've been dyeing my eyebrows right.
No! It's because I'm the surfing.
The surfing. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, you look handsome, as always. Thank you.
Either way, Rob's getting canceled, either from threatening your life or hitting on you. So, this is Rob's last comment, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, Misha Collins.